Welcome back to Dark Nexus. Tonight, it's Act 1, Chapter 28. We are back in the chapel after an incredibly eventful day.
Yes, it's been an incredibly eventful 3 hours.
Yes, but we have made it back to the chapel. Everybody has suffered some damage here, and we all just had to cut ourselves to prove to the chapel survivors that we weren't doppelgangers. I believe you have at least a channel left, right, Ray?
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and... would anyone else benefit? Everyone else here is fine, right? They're not down any hit points in the chapel.
So the folks at the barricade...
They have to cut themselves.
They have to cut themselves as well. So yes, they would get close when you do the channeling.
Okay, great. That's four hit points.
Johnny, just give yourself 2 of that. I think that was 2 points of damage cutting all that skin off your face.
Fair enough.
So, as we discussed, many episodes ago, we will be breaking these days down when we can into 8-hour chunks. We've done we've done our time adventuring for the day, which does leave us time to do some of those downtime activities we've been engaged in. I'm guessing, Johnny, let me know if I'm right here, that Gull wants to use this day to train with Valston.
Absolutely.
This can be your day 2 of training to get that feat retrained.
It's only day 2.
I know.
I wasted so many days being sick.
It's so sad. And Dora, what are you thinking you want to do with this 8 hours in the afternoon?
Dora seeks out Tolman.
Yes.
And is babbling incoherently about Reynard running away and how she's to blame, and she's lost her direction and failed, and is just kind of not making a lot of sense. But she doesn't want to talk to these guys about it. She wants to talk to a neutral third party.
So by this point, with the losses that we've suffered and the folks that have healed and what's gone on in the chapel, Tolman is no longer really using the chaplain's office as the playroom. They've moved all that stuff into the chapel. At this point, the children have been living in this world of horrors for several weeks. Trying to hide these dead bodies from them has started to feel like an act of futility. And now just ensuring that, since we've established this idea that they don't want to have ever fewer than 3 people together, that's 3 people at the north barricade, 3 people at the east barricade, and then the rest are in the chapel together. So he takes you back to the corner, and I think he's probably taken over the corner that Winter used to have up in the northwest there, and sits you down, and he's going to engage with this chunk of time counseling you, and he uses the kids, Brenton, Maeve, and Bates, as a tool. They would all be very interested in being able to stroke and pet the animal, which is extremely docile when he's in your arms, and would offer them up as a way of, I know something happened between you and Reynard, but Reynard is fine, and look how the kids, look how well he responds to the children, and he does seem to. He's still not talking to you, but he seems to take comfort from their presence.
Perhaps he will talk to them about how he is feeling.
I'm sure in his way he already is.
Since Reynard has an above-average intelligence.
Yes.
And presumably Reynard also suffered some type of insanity damage. Is all this counseling that's going on, is it also helping Reynard? You don't have to tell me, but it's just one of those things where I was like, wait a minute, does that mean that Reynard is also having a chance to heal?
Yeah. Thank you for the question. You don't know the answer to that.
Cool.
And so that chunk of time is going to pass. I'll give you a little roll right now to see if Tolman is able to remove some of your sanity. He's done 2 amazing rolls so far. It's DC 15, 17 on the die here. So that's 2 more points of sanity damage removed. You're down to 1.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
So
That's
close. Great. What are Grip and Ray doing with the rest of this day?
Grip is unsure where he can be, to not be a danger to others.
Gull would have
a potential danger to
talked
others.
to him about that. He would have been like, okay, where is the safest place for you to be?
So now, here we go. So now that Tolman has moved the kids out of the chaplain's office, you could sit in like the doorway of the chaplain's office and be seen from both directions of the hallway at all times, but nobody would have to get closer than 10 feet to you to get in and out of the chapel. That's probably the best solution at this point. And then when like folks would need to pass close, you could step back in, and just as long as you were always visible, that's probably.
And then, what about when it comes time for sleeping?
I guess we could move everybody way against the west wall, and as we discovered in the episode where distance in the chapel mattered, it's pretty. There's like 60 feet of room that you could sleep by the pentagram of Asmodeus as everyone else sleeps under the watchful eyes of Pharasma.
The deity line on my sheet is awfully blank, so I don't think it matters very much to Grip.
And as you're hanging out, like just sitting on the floor there, waiting for the day to pass, waiting to find out which of the many diseases you've been exposed to you might end up with, how is Grip processing this fairly crazy-ass day?
He's confused at having this thing that could take him down, essentially, that he has no way of combating in his usual ways, so that's frustrating.
I wish we had a third cloak.
I don't know. I think Grip is starting to wonder, okay, well, what's next, and what ultimately can we hope to accomplish? I think there might be starting to be a little bit of being despondent, and he feels very far away from what and who he was, and he feels very far away from what or who he wants to be. He doesn't know who he wants to be. He knows that forward is the only way to go, but he doesn't know what that means.
Yeah.
So a little at sea, I think.
Boy, and hard when you're feeling that way to have someone in the party, namely Dora, who's consistently talking about the futility of everything you're doing. And I imagine the experience of being in that cool fight, being completely frozen and unable to move. Well, this is all happening right around you, not knowing whether they're going to eat you or take down the rest of the party while you watch. That is a nightmare right there.
Yup.
What is Ray doing with this day?
Ray is trying to clean himself. Ray's covered in gore, and he is disturbed by it. So he's putting his focus on that. In his head, he's running through this relationship with this woman that might be his mother, probably is his mother. But which personality?
The one that told you to kill a unicorn?
Right, and even seemed to claim me. She called me boy or something.
Yeah.
And,
Baby boy.
Baby boy.
Yeah. And I did make a choice to try and climb up that window right when Dora ran off. And I didn't go to protect her.
You sure did.
So that's all resonating. Plus, I've got that vibrating cell phone in my pocket.
Phylactery.
The phylactery of scorn.
And what's going on there for Ray is he has so little knowledge of having any relationship with Shaylin, and knowing about religion in general, very little knowledge. So he's feeling like, why do I seem to be, why would I have any devotion to a being or to a deity that is offering me no guidance here? The only guidance I'm getting is wrong, bad, but I'm not getting shown guidance, a light. So he's feeling kind of bitter and unsure of himself.
Another thing that Grip is wrestling with is the comfort that he tried to extend to Dora. He felt that it needed to be done. It's not a role he's used to, and he feels a little resentful that he had to try to do that. Like, I think occasionally there's a little bubble that will come up of Gruck Riptusk.
Yeah.
And he knows that he's been afflicted. Like, he knows something happened to his mind. And he knows that something has happened to Dora's mind, and there's a part of him that's like, well, we have to try to fix it. But there's also a part of him that when she ran off after that fox, what he really wanted to do was shake her and go, what the fuck are you thinking?
Yeah.
But he didn't feel he could do it, so he's also battling battling that a little bit too.
Little Denmanism.
Yeah, eyeing Denman out of the corner of your eye.
Yeah.
Yeah, and, Ray, you're probably eyeing Tolman out of the corner of your eye across the way, giving comfort to Dora, and, maybe reflecting on the brief bit of comfort he was able to provide you. And, you did have someone who was willing to reach out with some sort of positive support at a moment where he was actually looking for encouragement.
That's right.
You gave it to him and he gave it to you in return. And as you look across the chapel and you see Dora surrounded by children.
And I'm wiping viscera
Yes.
and gore
Yes.
off my body.
You can decide for yourself if you see a moment of beauty happening there amidst the horror. But you do specifically notice as in this moment, Brenton takes out his shadow lantern, which you might recall then casts the shape of birds flying across the room, around the whole chapel there. And I'm sure, yes, the kind of light bulb that just went off on all your faces does go off on Ray's. I don't think Dora would notice in the state that she's in at the moment, but for sure Ray would. Gull is out training with Valston. That goes smoothly. And as you finish the end of your training and Tolman finishes up the end of his time with Dora and everyone's settling into the chapel.
I know that we don't have a winter anymore, so we don't have somebody that we come back to and sort of report.
Yeah.
But Voston is sort of the closest thing to that.
And Nasa.
Yeah, you could
So
easily.
I figured during this time, I'm also kind of very quietly letting him know this is where the ghouls are, and we found a gigantic camp of like 40, 50 people. Some might be patients, some might be staff. We didn't have a chance to talk to them. There seems to have been another patient there by the name of Elburn, who is pretending to be a doctor and was a patient. I don't know if anybody here would know him, but he's sort of like our guy on the inside there. And, mention the bag lady.
Yeah.
And if anybody knows about her or what she's capable of here.
So Nasa would be with you to join in this kind of reporting, as they're sort of playing co-leaders here. And,
Right.
And Nasa would immediately be like, well, she's right bad business, she is. She's a cold-blooded killer. And it was quite a to-do to find out ways to keep her calmed down and keep her not murdering people without doing the magic and the restraints and all that stuff on her. They had some success over the years, but she's really, really bad business. I hope I don't need to stress that to you. I'm very nervous about her being out and about. That's all I gotta say as a pirate nurse.
Would her records be in the record hall? The bag lady's records?
Well, the patient records are all
Yeah.
back by Lysandro's office.
Okay. Gull files that away for something that might be a worthwhile thing, especially Nasa mentioning that, there were some things that kind of worked to calm her down, to like go back through and see if there's anything that could be used against her if we end up having to go head to head with her in some way that might give us some kind of advantage.
Yeah.
And he would also ask what they could tell us about the North Tower and ways to get up there. Anything about that second level that would be up above where we were? Like
Sure. Yeah, the second floor of the Northwest Tower is it's sort of become storage for that part of the facility. There's a big sort of octagonal room with a rickety old staircase. The first floor was used as kind of like a day room, and you've described that you've already been in the actual day room, sort of a place where patients could hang out and get a view and sit in peace. And then the second floor was just mostly a large open space filled with stuff that nobody had a place for. Not much up there except just a lot of big open windows,
And then he also describes the room where he doesn't mention Debus. He doesn't mention the name, but he does mention that there was a room where there was a weapons rack.
That's the orderly station. So all of the orderlies, that's where they kept their armor and their clubs and so forth. And it was a good sort of spot to, if anything should happen in the large hall or anything should happen down in the East Wing, it was a great point to sort of lock up, seal up, arm up and, hunker down if anything should happen. Being so close to what you're describing as this large group of apostles, I bet that's probably where they got a lot of their weapons that are functional. They would both, of course, stress the importance to them that this group of apostles never knows that there's a way to this part of the...
And Gull assures them that this was that they took a very dangerous... I mean, he still has a gigantic gore... He still has 2 gigantic, horn wounds in his chest.
Yeah.
So he is still very bloodied and,
And then, at the end of that stretch, Tolman would, when he leaves Dora to sort of bunk down for the night, he would pull you aside and say, I was able to locate something of what you were looking for if you feel like this is an appropriate time, but I don't know that she's in a place to process, but it is, the choice is yours.
Yeah. Maybe not tonight. We'll see how she's doing tomorrow.
He hands over a small book of rites that a priest of Pharasma would have, that would have a collection of the typical rituals. Traditional service, burials, marriages, divorce, that sort of thing. He hands it over to you for your keeping.
Gull, while he's bedding down for the night and stuff like that, he's about to flip through it, look at it, and then he stops and sort of looks at himself and looks at how, even though he's bloody, the fact that he doesn't have pustules and boils and stuff over himself, and kind of shakes his head and jumps up and walks out of the room and into the chaplain's room, where I think that Grip is still in.
Yeah.
And he goes, I just wanted to say, you should have this. And he takes his cloak off and he hands it to Grip, and he goes, I'm not very good at this, but you saved my life and saved all of our lives, every 10 minutes. And Dora and me, we got some stuff, and Ray and me, we got some stuff, but you and me are good and easy, and in this place that means something to me. So I don't want to get sick, but
Well, don't get too close then. But I'll take the help that is offered. That's what I was taught to do. So thank you.
You remember what you were taught to do?
That's a figure of speech.
I picked it up somewhere. I don't know what the fuck. Get out of my face.
Idiom,
There he is.
sir?
Gulliver kind of chuckles and, gives him a nod. And then he's about to walk out the door and stuff, and he turns around and goes, hey, tomorrow, when we find out that you're okay, we're gonna fucking kill Wretch Manby.
I can't say it would make me sad to kill that little fucking piece of shite. Today was not the day, though, clearly, but
Not today.
no, I would like to snap that little fucker's neck.
If Rags doesn't get him tonight, we're gonna get him tomorrow.
Hey,
Night.
sleep fucking tight.
And with that, we sleep overnight. And we wake on day 10 of the campaign, the second day of Neth. And the weather outside is
Frightful.
eerily still. There's no wind, there's no rain. All there is nearly continuous peals of thunder. And after you've been watching this yellow fog swirl and eddy and get blown around by the wind and refill, it just looks like a static field of yellow outside the windows of this chapel. And then boom, boom, thunder continuously interrupting you. All right, let's make some rolls. We gotta make a heal check.
We got a bunch of uses of the heal kit
Yes, we do.
We do.
replenished, yeah?
Yep.
Would I have been able to use any of those the day before to help alleviate any healing?
1 per day. Yep.
Well, then I probably would have tried to have done that.
Let's do it.
All right, what do I need? Just make a heal check?
What does this do to help us? What?
So once every 24 hours, a person can benefit from the Treat Deadly Wounds use of the Heal skill. The use of the Healer's Kit that Ray has provides a +2, and if somebody also uses the Surgeon's tools, that becomes a +3. Now, you're looking to beat a DC of...
25.
Probably something like that. You're looking to beat a DC of 20. If you get a 25... you also get to add your wisdom modifier to the amount healed. So you definitely want to make sure the person with the best wisdom, well, negotiate for yourself. High heal check, wisdom, however you want to go about it.
I mean, I've got a 14 wisdom and a heal check of 8 or 11 using all the other things.
You beat me.
All right. Roll it up.
Is there anybody else that's injured that could benefit from this? Nobody. Everybody else is at full hit
I'm at
points.
full.
Oh wow! So it's just
I only
me.
took the cutting myself damages today.
Great. Well, then I will do it. I will try to surgeon up myself here.
So Ray, this will erase 2 uses from your kit.
I rolled a 13 plus 11. That's a 24. And I think it's going to be... I have 1 final usage of my inspiration from last night to add on to it. So that is a 28.
So you heal yourself 3 hit points plus your wisdom modifier.
So that is 5 more hit points. So I went from 5 hit points at the end of the night to 10 hit points.
Overnight, everybody would heal 3 hit points for their level plus an additional 1 from the chapel. So heal yourself 4 more hit points, Gull.
So I'm at 14 out of 23.
And because we're in the chapel, everyone's dreamscape is untampered with by the Tatterman. This next morning, we know that Grip's real sick. So first we can attempt to make a heal check to give him that +4 bonus on the fortitude saves he has to make. This will also tell you if he does need to make those saves. This is going to let you know definitively if you're seeing the signs of either ghoul fever or leprosy on him.
Or both.
That's a 23, and I'm going to spend a point of inspiration.
Hang on to it. You don't see any signs of leprosy.
Good news.
However, where those
Good news, bad news.
where those ghoul teeth sunk in, you notice the telltale blackening around the wound. Grip has ghoul fever. If he ever drops below 0 hit points, he might pick up ghoul corruption and start hungering for the flesh of sentient beings. And if he dies, he will rise as a ghoul.
And how do we get rid of that?
This is the same process as these other diseases, daily saves. So now, Grip, let's make your first daily save against ghoul fever. You get to add a +4 from the treat disease that Gull just gave you.
This is fort, yes.
This is fortitude.
And you
that's-
have your
I got a cloak
now.
of resistance, so that's a +12 all day.
Nice.
That's an 11 on the die for a 23.
You've made 1 successful save against ghoul fever.
Nice.
Now, we're at that place. Tomorrow, you save again, it's gone. But, you fail tomorrow, then we start going down the track.
But so no
No penalties.
no
right now.
detrimental
Nope.
effects until I drop below 0.
Exactly. But that danger of, as soon as you hit -1 hit points, ghoul corruption could seep in.
Could.
Could.
Is that another save, or is that just something that happens behind that screen of yours?
We'll look it up if it becomes relevant, but I believe it's a will save, buddy. I'm sorry. We'll check it out if it happens.
It's a +2 now, though.
Although I guess you should have the information because Gull would know.
I mean, yeah, that would be very important to know whether or not we want to make sure that he does not drop under any circumstances.
Yeah.
No, sentient
good
flesh
news, good
sounds
news,
pretty
good
good.
news. It's a fort save to pick up against picking up ghoul
God.
corruption.
Okay.
Okay.
So you might,
That's my best shot.
should the worst happen, you might, well, knock on something. I won't even finish that sentence
La, la,
because
la,
I'm
la, la,
gonna
la,
curse
la.
us all with that sentence.
Gull, would you carry the healer's kit? It seems to fit naturally with your skill set.
Are you sure?
You have a better heal check than I do.
Mechanically speaking.
And you are potentially a physician.
And you can also just heal supernaturally, so, yeah.
Yeah.
Great. It's got 8 uses left.
Let me put this with my other 25 kits.
You keep track of it.
Hey, guess what?
But
Grip didn't take any sanity damage yesterday.
Oh,
You can
got a
try
bonus
one more
now,
time
too.
to get rid of your phobia.
this is what? Another will save?
This is a will save.
But you got a +2 now, baby.
Yeah. Come on.
We're all familiar with you.
It's a 10.
Shame?
Shame?
Yeah.
I mean, is a 16 potentially? That's the best I could do.
I'm not going to answer that question.
I have 2 shame points left for this level. I've been burning through them.
As do I.
And I wouldn't be opposed but just not knowing if in a best case scenario it's gonna help.
Well, if there's a chance that you walk into a fight and don't have like a -2 to everything because you're shaken, does that seem like a worthwhile?
Yes, it does. God damn your logic. $11.
Oh,
You still hate the slashy stuff.
That's an everyday thing I can do?
Yeah.
Until I take sanity.
Until
more
you take
sanity.
sanity damage. So Gulliver will get his grit point for the day.
Yep.
We can attempt 39 and 10,000 and a half on some of these magic items if you want to use do some
yeah.
spell crafting there, Ray.
Great. My favorite.
They always go so well.
What things are left to discover?
Can
Red
we see what
Destiny?
he succeeds at first and then pick what the roll is?
No!
There's the incense, right?
Incense and Red Destiny.
let's get that.
I'll roll
Yeah,
the incense.
start with
first.
the incense. You seem to need a warm up.
Natural 20 on the incense.
Son of a bitch!
Prepare to be wildly underwhelmed.
I'm going to be so excited to find out what that
It's
incense
Nog
is.
Champa, isn't it?
As long as it's not patchouli.
Incense of open thoughts. While a block of this sweet-scented incense burns, creatures inhaling its fumes become unusually receptive to thought. In still air, the incense's smoke permeates a 40 by 40 foot area to a height of 20 feet. Creatures within that area can communicate telepathically with other creatures in the area. Creatures communicating in this fashion don't need to share a language, but must at least have an intelligence of 3. And the openness of mind engendered by the incense also provides a +5 insight bonus on diplomacy and sense motive checks against creatures in the area, and a -5 penalty on bluff and intimidate checks against such creatures, and a -2 penalty on saving throws against mind-affecting effects. So
It's
not,
opium.
Kinda, yeah. It's not entirely useless. I imagine at some point in this campaign you guys are going to find a really interesting use for it, but it's not as cool as some of the other things that we've been waiting on.
All right, Paul.
All right, Red Destiny.
Here we go.
Natural 20. 2 in a row.
Red Destiny is a +2 short sword.
Holy mackerel, Andy.
At 3rd level, that is insane. It's insane.
It is insane.
That's a +2 enhancement bonus to attack rolls and damage rolls.
Any other special things?
No, I think
Everything that other
take
stuff
the
was
+2
flavored.
short sword.
No,
and-
I'm going to, but because of the things you had said, I just wanted to make sure there wasn't.
No.
Okay.
That was all
thanks.
flavor.
All right then. Awesome sauce.
Any other checks that I need to make? Is that everything?
Nothing else on my list. What do we do today?
Do we have any way to get to the 2nd floor without going through Ratchmamby's horrible domain again?
You've seen 2 staircases so far that lead to the 2nd floor. The one in the main hall, total collapse, and it doesn't even look like there is much of a 2nd floor above the main hall. And then you saw that one halfway down the east ward where the one ghoul had been trying to dig through. There's nothing there that you can get through.
Gulliver, when you see Gulliver, he is still obviously injured. He still has like a gaping wound in his shoulder from where he got gored. But he walks over to Dora and kind of sits down next to her. And I'm sure that she still has her fox and is stroking Reynard and stuff, and goes, hey, Dora, I know you said like maybe there might be something that you wanted to, like do your stuff to and find out about if I had anything, if I want to learn more, and I do.
Oh.
I don't know if we should do it in here though, like maybe somewhere a little
go
bit,
somewhere private.
a little bit more private. Like obviously we can have Grip and Ray there.
All right. How about the chaplain's office?
Quick question. Does ghoul fever have the same contagion?
No.
So I'm not a danger to anyone else until it takes effect.
You are not a danger.
Awesome.
Unless you eat them.
Yes.
Well, don't look delicious.
It's very hard for me not to look delicious.
Why did you dress
Especially
like a banana?
with this scraping on the side of your face.
So Gulliver, beckons to Ray and to Grip and kind of says, "Come here," and ushers them into the chaplain's office.
Yeah.
And waits for everybody to get in and goes, "You want to do this?
Of course.
You feeling okay today?"
It would seem that Reynard and I have had a bit of a falling out. But, well,
Okay. And he reaches into his pocket and pulls out his wedding ring and hands it to her.
she takes it. And notably, she takes it like it is any other object. Even though she's wearing the other one.
Yep.
And she closes her eyes. And she begins psychometry.
All right, Dora, give me a perception check.
23.
You take the ring in your hand. In one hand, the other hand probably still stroking Reynard. Crystal lights up of its own accord to cast light into the room. And you are slipping through the river of time. This is an item that has, 18 years of history. And you see a lot of moments passing by more quickly than you can follow. And then, shoo, you see a cozy, well-appointed lounge or study type room. There's a brick fireplace, a mahogany table with 3 matching chairs, an antique sideboard, and a flight of stairs leading up. A man sits at the table. It's Gulliver Vaticus, clean cut, clean shaven, in his prime. Picture Benedict Cumberbatch at around his current age. He's in normal clothes right now, not in his daredevil getup. Dark pants, white shirt, black tailcoat and tie. He's wearing spectacles even. He looks surprisingly normal. And the scene itself is weirdly domestic looking because Gulliver is sitting at the table with a little boy. The kid is around 8 or 9. He's pale and thin. His head's a little too big for his body. Looks like his joints are kind of messed up. He's hiding his eyes behind a mop of dark black hair. It's Ray. It's a young Ray. Gulliver is running his thumb along his wedding ring. It's clear that this has become some sort of obsessive action for him. Hey, kiddo. What do we say? Little Ray says, Tima is a hateful old witch. They both smile. Secrets have power, and this is their shared secret mantra. And it has been for years now. That's right, Brayden. She is a hateful old witch. So what you doing today? Where you going? Down by the lake, I think. Oh yeah? Both of you? Uh-huh. All right. Well, whatever you do, and he leans in close, you stay away from that house at the end of Market Street. That's not for little boys. It's too scary. You hear me? Little Ray nods, but it's obvious. It's obvious that that's the first place he's gonna go now. And say, since you've been such a good boy this week, I got a little present for you. He pulls out a small vial of deep blue liquid. What is it? Special juice. It's very sweet and fizzy too. It's fun. It's fun juice. Yeah, it's fun juice. Like Miss Mellison likes to drink. But this is for kids. Now I know that the hateful old witch doesn't tolerate any sweets in the guest house here, so don't tell anyone. In fact, why don't you drink it down by the lake? And little Ray smiles and nods. Little Ray leaves. And when he's gone, Gulliver smiles, rubbing his wedding ring. And Gulliver Vaticus grinds his teeth, grinds them so hard you are shocked that they don't shatter inside his head. And shoo, you're back in the office.
Dora hands the ring back to Gull.
He takes it and puts it in his pocket. Would you all just stay here a second? And he ducks out of the room and goes, Tolman? Tolman?
Yes.
Would you, that thing we talked about, could you help me with that?
Is it time?
Yeah.
Tolman comes in.
And Gulliver pulls a book out of his like vest pocket and hands it to him.
He takes it.
And he says, Dora, I know that you're not Tima, and you're you. And Tima is, inside you. But this still seemed like something that I should do. So, Tolman?
Have you told her what we are doing?
Oh, yeah, I was gonna divorce Tima.
But she isn't here.
She'll still hear.
Need to be here? Does she need to consent to this?
I thought you were divorcing Dora.
Well, you know how you've been helping Dora?
Yes.
Well, she also had, in addition to the thing with the fox.
That is something I told the three of you. Sorry, you weren't there yet. In confidence. It is mine to tell or share, not yours.
Can you give us a second, Tolman?
He leaves.
That's a good point, and I apologize. On the flip side of that, it doesn't seem fair to me that I should have to stay married to someone when you have the power to do something about that.
You want to play the field or something?
Is it costing you something?
Yeah.
What? You have no memory of being married to her other than what I just shared? We are probably the only 4 people in the world who even know.
I'm not entirely sure what's going on to begin with, and marriage is pretty fucking strange if you ask me, so I'm totally in the dark right now.
I think Tima is a very dangerous person, but I think she is a person, and I think she should be able to decide for herself. I'm sorry, Gull, I don't feel right making that decision for her. I don't think if it were you would feel right having someone make it for you.
From my understanding of reading these, both parties don't have to have agreement, just one.
Well, then you don't need me at all, do you?
I do, because as you just said, she's still a person, and She deserved to be here. Unless you don't think so now.
Would you like me to allow her to come forward?
I respect you. I respect your choices of who you share information about yourself, and that's up to you.
I am not going to willingly allow Tima forth into the world. If this is important to you, and it is important that it happens now, perhaps we can find some way to make an accommodation. I am merely saying I will not make this decision for her. If you don't require legally or religiously her consent, then I say do what you must. Leave us both out of it.
Okay. So okay.
If you have something you want to say, please say it.
I'm trying to give everybody the ability to choose things for themselves. I'm trying to be respectful of your wishes, and if she's a person, and you feel that she's a person inside you, then I feel like it's respectful to have this be somewhere she can witness it.
Then you want me to allow her to come forward.
Okay.
My only concern is that the last time she came forward, she allowed Reynard to escape, and I will not allow that to happen again. So, her coming forward would mean restraint, if those circumstances are acceptable to you, and that meets your requirements of consent. For the greater good of all, those are the only conditions in which I will allow her to come forward and hear your request.
If that's what you require, I accept it.
Dora, am I correct that you don't automatically just come back? Right?
I believe that after a time, I would. And I can certainly try to. But I can also fail.
And we know that Tima has been possibly considering having designs on our safety and security, right? Like,
Absolutely. She is not to be trusted.
Gull, I question your urgency on this decision. Considering where we're at and what we have in front of us, if we don't proceed with a divorce in this moment, can you...
I suspect that Gull is afraid that one of us might die without this being resolved.
Well, till death do you part then, right?
It's not the same thing.
You're not the same people.
There's some pretty big fucking things going on right now that I barely understand, but I feel like those are more pressing concerns right now than what to me right now, correct me if I'm wrong, sounds like you feeling squeamish about who you're married to, but how is that going to stop us from doing what we have to do? Which I think is more important than whatever it is you're trying to do here. That's how I feel.
What are you trying to do here? When you talk about choices...
Trying to divorce Tima. Pretty simple. If you all don't think it's a big deal, then why are you making it into a big deal?
Because bringing her here, from what we've seen, has risks. And is it worth it? Is it worth potentially something going awry? And what if the restraint fails? What if Reynard gets away again? I'm more concerned about Dora's well-being than I am whatever this divorce accomplishes.
I'm respecting Dora's wishes here. She's the one saying that the only way that she'll be a party to this is if she lets Tima come forward.
She is not voicing her wishes, she is voicing her accommodation for your wishes. Let's be clear on that. We are all here for you and your desire. I question why now, why it's so important.
Look, I don't know that this is true, but this is something that I fear about what I did before. Based on everything I know about Gulliver Vaticus, he used people, he twisted their minds and controlled their bodies. And I don't know this, but I believe that Gulliver Vaticus bought the body of Dora and put Tima into it. And I don't want Tima to have any rights to that body. And the idea that I took that choice away from Dora, it thickens me. So this is the closest thing I can do to try to give that freedom back.
Gulliver, I very much appreciate where your heart is. And I would hope that if I offer you absolution, that would be enough. But we don't know the truth of why Tima and I share this body. We simply don't know. And I maintain that I have no right to consent to this ritual on her behalf, and can only repeat that I think it is extraordinarily dangerous and very likely fruitless to invite her forth. I believe that to her it will merely be an opportunity to hurt, to wreak havoc, and potentially to seize power. She can do everything I can do. I believe the only reason she didn't last time is that she was so surprised to be allowed forth.
Give me a knowledge religion check, Paul.
This is a 10.
10. So just watching what you just jotted down there as Ray is watching this exchange happening, and Gull has in his hand a book of the common rituals for the Farazman Church. You are reminded that those kind of rituals run a broad gamut of things that we would consider sort of more pedestrian, civilian type things, to things that are more deep and profound, like rituals of atonement, rituals of clearing the soul of past misdeeds. You're aware that such things do exist, for what that's worth.
Thanks. The word I wrote is absolution. Ray says, Gull, I hear and I understand your purpose a little bit better. I think what you would really benefit from is some sense of absolution, atonement. Who we were, and God knows I'm struggling with this too, and I know you are, Grib. Who we were has a bill. We have a bill, a red ledger, right? We've done stuff. We know that we have. We don't know the details, and we don't know how or why. Whatever you've done, Gull, and we have to believe this, is that we are different now. And if you're willing to work with me, I would love to help you find your way to making some peace with this unknowable, terrible past. But we have to press on. This is not the time to be seeking our own spiritual salvation. We are in the middle of a fight for our lives, for the lives of everyone in that sanctuary, and we can't risk the vanity of our own spiritual comfort. We can't risk everyone's lives for that. Please, let's continue to be aware of our growing knowledge of who we were, with some sense of hope. That now that we know, with maybe some perspective, and maybe through going through whatever it is we're going through, that we're going to be different. And I will help you as I help myself along that path.
Ray, that's a very generous thing to to offer. But I gotta differ with you on one major point. If there's not a time to stand up for your ideals and the things that are important to you, if it's not in the middle of life and death, when is a better time to stand up for them? When it's easy? When it doesn't have a cost?
You're not standing up for a cause, Skull. You're trying to clean your slate. And it's vanity, my friend. It is vanity. There are bigger things than your guilty conscience to deal with right now. I'm sorry.
Okay.
You know what we could do, though?
I think I know what you're thinking.
We could kill fucking Rat Mamby.
And that's the end of chapter 28. I'll see you next week. Dark Nexus is a creation of Plug and Hum Productions. This podcast uses trademarks and/or copyrights owned by Paizo Incorporated, which are used under Paizo's community use policy. We are expressly prohibited from charging you to use or access this content. This podcast is not published, endorsed, or specifically approved by Paizo Inc. For more information about Paizo's community use policy, please visit paizo.com/communityuse. And for more information about Paizo and Paizo products, please visit paizo.com. That's PAIZO.com. Dark Nexus uses music and soundscapes by Sirenscape. Check them out at sirenscape.com. That's SYRINSCAPE.com. Opening and closing themes, along with additional music, composed by Rob Kauzlaric. Artwork for Dark Nexus is by Matt Wahlquist. Special thanks to Toy, without whose generosity this project would not have been possible. And thanks to DMCP, Richard and Ari, Paul and Shannon, Chris, Scotty, Jason, Jess, Joe, Chelsea, Matt, Dave, Darren, and everyone we've gamed with over the years for all the memories and inspiration.
Fantastic.
Did we level?